Hello and welcome this cold Tuesday morning to Market Insights. I am Lavina Emma. On today's show, I will be discussing the food inflation in Nigeria and how Nigerians have been complaining about the increase in prices of food items. Every day we go to the market and the prices keep increasing. It never stays at a particular number for a whole week. Today we could hear the price of rice has moved from 60,000 to 70,000 and now it's over 77,000. The price of bread, which is a common staple food in most Nigerian homes, has moved from 800 naira to 1,000 naira to 1,500 to 2,000 naira. Prices of food items keep increasing and protests have been breaking out in different states across the country because Nigerians are complaining. Now, these measures I mentioned earlier on, are they effective enough to curb this food crisis situation? Now, we know the federal government is looking after our interest and saying hoarding should be banned, and then food importation should also be banned, but it's going to take a gradual process for this to be achieved. In addition, the federal government is also making plans to improve on mechanizing our farming methods. So there are plans to bring in tractors into our farmlands to make sure that the farmers in rural communities have more mechanized options for farming. So I'll be discussing if these solutions are going to be very effective in providing long-term solutions for our food inflation crisis in the country. My guest today is an economist. He's also a public affairs analyst. He's also the manager of a company that is into investments and stock trading. He's also a stock market dealing clerk, and he's also very much aware of what's happening in the country and ways we can solve this issue. So please join me in welcoming my guest, Mr. Kebira Jimoh Aruna. This is my guest this morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the show, Mr. Kebira Jimoh Aruna.
Thank you for having me.
I mentioned that we're going to be discussing the inflation in Nigeria and how it's affecting people. We've seen protests breaking out in different states across the country because people have been protesting this increase in the cost of living, in food, which is something every citizen of every nation needs. Now, we know the government have put measures in place to curb this, but at the moment, these measures have not been very effective to curb this increase in the prices of food. So I would like to ask, what are your thoughts on proffering a longer-term solution for this food inflation crisis?
I will start by saying that the human being does not want a change. And when inflation enters into the economy, it forces people to make a change. And that is why you are saying there is a negative reaction to the change that they are being forced to make. And what is inflation? Inflation simply means too much money pursuing few commodities in the market. And when a situation like that occurs, there was what they call, there will be a disequilibrium. And when there's a disequilibrium, fact, there should be hoarding, like you have just said. I think the only solution that we can have is not these short-term solutions. It's the supply side that has actually been suffering. And what do I mean by the supply side? When there is a glut, if you want the prices of food to come down, create a glut in the market. That means supply more than demand, and the price will actually come down by itself. You see, the problem we are seeing today and the cause of this inflation is multifaceted. This thing has started a very long time. It started, one, from insecurity. I come from a village, and I know how we used to go to the farm. Then it was very peaceful. Everybody can go to the farm and come out with whatever that you can come out from the farm. If a number of farmers come to the market with all yam, then it will not be a buyer's market. The buyer will now begin to find out who and who will reduce the price to his or her pocket to buy. But now we have few supply, which is now a seller's market. Now, if you look at this security, they have prevented the villagers that they cannot go into the farm to go and farm. then there is a scarcity of farm product on one hand. Then secondly, the one that are able to bring to the villages cannot be transported to the city. The same thing, the insecurity. And again, we also have infrastructural problem. I traveled to my village this December. I was amazed the state of the road that I saw. How can you transport goods along that road? So until all these things are put in place, that farmers can go to the farm, come out with good products, because of course they know what to do, they know how to apply the manure, they can come out with good harvest. Then give them the facility to transport that harvest from the local to where it is needed. And that by the time that is done, definitely the prices of food commodity will come down.
Okay, thank you for that, Mr. Aruna. You mentioned that until challenges like insecurity are effectively handled and farmers can comfortably go to their farm, harvest their products, and also harvest their produce, also farm, then we'll see an improvement in the supply of food to our local markets. But the president has recently approved the use of state security like state police, and also having forest rangers to protect farmers in the farmland. Don't you think that these measures, having our own state police in each individual state and also forest troopers to protect the farmers, can also help tackle this insecurity challenge? Yes, I know we've seen in recent times farmers are scared to go to their farms, and then we don't have too much of this produce being supplied to the markets, which leads to the traders hoarding the few goods that they have and selling at very exorbitant prices. But if we have something like more forest rangers and state troopers, that's the state police in each state, wouldn't that help to tackle the insecurity challenge?
I do have belief in state policing and forest challengers, the way you call it, but those that we used to have what we call forest guards that take care of the forest. Whether they use the state police, whether they use the forest challengers, as far as the problem of insecurity is solved, that people cannot, in fact, go to the village or go to the villages, like in my village, they want to go to this farm because they have no any other thing to do. But they are scared because of insecurity. The moment the government are able to put up this state policing, or they are able to put up the forest defender or the forest guard to ensure that farmers can go about doing their business on normal day peacefully, then there will going to be a turnaround. Because this problem, like I said, is on the supply side. Even if you open warehouses to supply grains, how long will that going to last? Even if you ask people to begin to bring in their food, where would they be holding it? I tell you one thing, if I'm a seller of food like this, there's this issue that the protest is going to break out and nobody know how long that is going to take. Peradventure, I'm a seller. I have 2 bags of rice to sell. Won't I hold one? Because I wouldn't know how long that protest will last. If I hold one, that means that what is actually the effective supply in the market is 1 bag. And what would that 1 bag do? So as far as the government can do it, I can put in place measures to make sure that farmers can go to their farms and do their normal business, then we will see a total change in the supply side. And the moment there's a change in the supply side, then the inflation will come down. The prices of goods and services will come down too.
Okay, Mr. Aruna, yes, Mr. Aruna, that's very good. I agree with you on that. But how can more local communities be actively involved in accessing opportunities in the food landscape? Yes, we know how inflation is affecting everybody, but we believe there are also opportunities that the government and also we, the citizens, can tap into to actually resolve this issue and make sure it benefits people. For instance, improving on our local produce, investing more in farming, mechanized farming activities. So what other opportunities exist in this food inflation that we have found ourselves at the moment?
Yes, I wanted to say that before because one of the policy the CBN is putting into place is the monetary policy. They have forgotten the physical side of it. The two of them have to work together. So one of the things I'm even looking at is intervention, government intervention. I remember too when we were growing up, the tomatoes we used to have are the one that have four sides. But my father went to the city and came back with tomato seedlings that will now be round like a football. And we felt that and they take quicker time to get wrapping than the former tomato. That is one. Then two, there was this competition they used to do in the local government headquarters that when you bring the biggest yam, then you get an award. My sister, if you see some yam will be as big as my head. Some yam will be as big as the small baby. And let me tell you, because they are looking forward to that, not even the monetary aspect of it, is that recognition. You know, somebody is from the farm and is coming to the local government headquarters for the very first time. And it's been declared in the midst of everybody that this is the man from so village that brought this. It turns their head. The next time, the man will want to come with a bigger tuber of yam, and others that didn't bring that side, we want to bring as big as his own. And in that competition, you discover that everything will go well. First of all, let there be intervention. Again, I also understand at a particular point in time that farmers had access to cheap fertilizers. First of all, they were educated on that was the time ahead of NPK 1515, NPK 15015. You understand? They were first of all educated that this fertilizer is for cereals, this fertilizer is for deep-rooted plant, and the rest. And the result was fantastic. So if the government can do that, I believe that to promote competition among them, and people will go all out to make sure that they come out from the bush with good produce.
Okay, yes, I like the stories that you told me. This is it will definitely motivate these people to want to do more. But we also have cases, like you mentioned, that due to the fact that people are worried that protests are breaking out too often because of this cost in inflation. As you know, the current food inflation right now in the country is at 35.41%, which is extremely high, and it doesn't seem to be slowing down at any time soon. I mean, in spite of the measures the government has put in place. And you also mentioned that if you were a trader and you had 2 bags of rice and then you heard about this protest, and you know security agencies will be out there to try and stop protesters for making this whole thing get violent, and you know that this will lead to markets not being open, you definitely want to keep 1 bag of rice at home and only sell from your 2nd bag of rice. So what effective measures can be put in place to stop hoarding? Because we know traders are actually practicing this, and they know that when they can hoard and bring out this very needy, this very important good called food, and sell it at a much higher price, which is not what the people are expecting. But because people need food, they will be determined to buy it at whatever price you sell to them. So what would you recommend to actually curb this hoarding practice? It's been going on for quite some time now.
Yes, like I first of all said, what leads to hoarding is scarcity. When there is scarcity and increases in price, I was discussing with somebody yesterday that probably have $100, and the guy is telling me that it's not going to sell when every minute the dollar is increasing. Why should they bring his dollar out to sell now? That is waiting. Peradventure, they might get to 2,000. Peradventure, might get to 2,005. So that is the same thing with the traders who has this product to trade. They discover that this thing keeps on increasing. They are now factoring into it that if they sell their produce today, that they start to lose from the gain that we accrue to it tomorrow. Again, like I said, the supply side is suffering and the demand is outweighing supply. It now becomes a seller's market. That they are actually waiting to make sure that to them they feel that they want to maximize gain, but they would not think of the fact that another person somewhere is suffering. And what does inflation actually do to the people? Now, let's look at a normal average consumption per day. You take tea, you use margarine, and you eat bread. And inflation now comes, and the same quantum of money cannot buy you those three items that you now have to forgo margarine. Your welfare has actually been reduced, whether you like it or even if you say it's psychological. By not eating only bread and tea, your welfare has been dropped. Then it begins to actually increase to the extent that the composition of your tea is now different. Instead of drinking beverage, you are now using the tea. And they also get to the level that instead of using 2 spoons of milk, you are now using one spoon. So it reduces your welfare. And that is why there must be a protest. But if you are not talking about audit, I really do not know what they can do, because we cannot continue to, except if you break into people's shops. For those who keep their goods, who keep their wares in shop. But apart from the market, the interior, most of the people that sell are in the interior, that are using the front of their houses. So you might not actually know how much of the goods that they sell that they have in their stores. So if you force them to sell the one they have displayed on the table, can you go inside and boggle their door and come and force them? No, it's to improve the supply side. By the time they understand that traders are beginning to come from the north with various products of various produce, various farm produce, then they will bring out their own to sell. But as far as this scarcity persists, and as far as prices begin to go on up every day, they will wait. Hoarding is natural. The moment the supply side suffers and the excess demand, hoarding we enter into it. So what I'm saying is the government intervention, giving enabling environment to the farmers to work, and they coming to the market with enough produce to satisfy the market. I think that's where the solution lies.
The governor of Yobe State, he has also mentioned that he has banned traders selling food items in bulk purchases, traders in other states. And there was recently a video circulating on the internet where trucks carrying food items in bulk, like yam, rice, beans, different food items, were sent back to wherever states they were coming from. This video has been circulated all over the internet. So it seems as if governors of different states want to solve this food scarcity in their own individual states before selling food items to traders in other states. Mr. Aruna, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I think I saw that video, and when I was looking at that video, the first thought that came to my mind was that the video was fake. Why did I say that it was fake? Assuming that it was real, we see either the law enforcement agent or the hoodlums that are trying to turn the truck back to where they are coming from. I come from a place, I'm from Auchi, and between Auchi and Benin, there's a place called Aviele. If you get to Aviele, you will not get a place to park. It's full of trailers. Why? Because they have chosen that place of rest. Sometimes they sleep there, they change tires there, they repair their engines there, or whatever problem that the motor may have on the way, they will manage it until they get to Aviele. So it has become a town. I think that is even what the town was formed from travelers, especially truckers. So if there was any reason for the trucks to be blocked or to be turned back, one, we see a movement. We didn't see a movement in that video. We only saw packed trailers. And again, they were all covered. We don't really know exactly what they were carrying, whether they carry foodstuff, whether they carry machineries and the rest. That is by the way. Then secondly, if our governor now said, yes, sell all what you have within the state, is a right step in the right direction. Because they say charity begins at home. Because one is the people that is governing over. They have to be satisfied. They have to make sure that they start whatever that can be done at the national level from the state. I think it's a welcome development. But like I said, what brings black market is when there is scarcity. Even when you turn them back, if you take farm produce from the northern states to Lagos, you cannot sell them the way you sell where they are coming from. So that will also still lead to black market. They actually leave them in the states. They will create artificial scarcity so that the price will go higher. than what they they're supposed to sell. The only thing that I believe that the governors can do is to appoint a task force over them to oversee that, yes, this is the trailer that was Lagos banned. Then take it, it's not seized from the person, but take it from him, take it to the market and supervise the sales. In that order, it will be clear that the food that was supposed to be diverted out of the state have been sold to the indigent of the state. And with that, I believe that why they are doing that, why there are so many trucks to sell the yam, the price, that's what I'm saying. In that market, there will be a glut for that. If you have like 6, 7 trailers selling yam, there will be a glut, because by the time people have bought and they want to come to rebuy, they begin to price it lower than the first one that they bought, and they bring the price down. So if any governor is doing that, but the question is that, assuming that in Lagos State, where we don't have so much farms, what happened to us? In Lagos, what we focus on is making the money, making the money, making the money. If you now make the money and make the money and make the money, and the governors of other states and disallow their trucks to come to Lagos to supply goods to Lagos, what are we going to feed on?
Yes, that is the question. What are we going to feed on? So governors giving that kind of directive is not exactly, yes, I understand you said it's a step in the right direction. Feed the people in your home state first of all, but it won't really work out in the long term, because what will happen to other states that don't really have adequate or sufficient farmlands to be able to farm produce effectively? But how can entrepreneurs and also larger companies benefit, or rather, how can they take advantage of this food inflation situation in Nigeria and contribute to sustainable agricultural development in the country? We've also seen, we've heard the federal government say they want to import tools to improve on mechanized farming. But how can entrepreneurs and also private companies contribute to sustainable agricultural development in the country? We know our agriculture needs to be improved on, needs to be more mechanized, but what other steps can private citizens take to improve on this? Because all in all, if we have a larger produce, our productivity is hastened, is faster, it's all year round. I think this can also help to improve on our food situation in Nigeria. There's more food in the markets for people to buy, and then the inflation situation won't even arise at all. Yes, Mr. Aruna.
Yes, I think all we need actually is a paradigm shift. The private individual, especially the HNIs and corporate organization, can actually go into farming. If you watch most of these guys into land, they talk about the numbers of acres they have for farming. All they needed to do is to step in, acquire this farm. And believe you me, these guys that you see everywhere looking for dumps to scavenge, if you employ them in the farm, they are going to do better. If you give them more than what they get while scavenging from street to street, they are going to do better. So it's a matter of us coming back home. We have been too engaged in science, we have been too engaged in IT, we have been too engaged in white-collar job that we all left the farm. If I will tell you how this thing happened. There was a scenario in my village. My elder brother and his friend, they were teachers in the primary school then. And the guy wasn't that sound, there was this S75, he was using S75 to teach. So what he was receiving as far as he was concerned was not commensurate with what his peer group and his colleagues, his contemporaries were receiving. So he decided to travel, and he went to Port Harcourt. By the time he came back from Port Harcourt, he has gotten a job with Share. And the first time he was coming for his first annual leave, he started the building. And the rest began to ask him, how come? And he told them that, look, if you follow me, I can also help you. And that one left, and he got a job and came back to the village to build a house. So every other people begin to leave and go to oil and come back home to build, leaving the farm. So we have left the farm for so long. So it's a reorientation. It's a paradigm shift that, look, this is the problem. You have the money. Yes, you have made the money from IT. You have made the money from other commerce. come to the farm, acquire really big acres of land. It might not necessarily need tractors, can employ physical labor. The only things that you have what it takes, maybe the chemical, the fertilizers, the seedlings, the pro seedlings, and before you know, the market will be flooded. How long does this actually take? What is the cycle? Some of this farm produce, the cycle may not be as as long as 3 months, and by the time you begin to see them come, and everything will change. And if you notice, even when there was a steady supply of this, there were seasons, especially the harvesting season, that prices will crash. That is what I'm telling you, because everybody is bringing his or her goods to the market, and because there is a lot of supply, prices will crash. So if these individuals, the high network individuals and the corporate organization now embark on farmland, cultivated farmland for farm produce in another 6 months, in another 1 year, because this government still have a long time to go. Within this current administration, there will be a turnaround. This issue of inflation is getting to 30% will be, because those people can provide security for their workers, they can provide security for their farms, and there will be a turnaround.
Yes, I appreciate you for giving that. Yes, you have rightfully said investing in farming, investing in food production as larger quantities. Yes, so we definitely need more investment in our agricultural sector. Yes, I totally agree with that, Mr. Aruna. Yes, but okay, so moving on to that, actually, just before we move on to another sector, what do you actually agree with the fact that, yes, you have said private individuals should invest more? You don't have to always do the whole white-collar jobs all the time. Yes, we need more investment in agriculture. We need to make this agricultural sector more attractive to young people so that they will definitely want to say, oh, I want to be a farmer. You can imagine a child growing up and it's occupations like doctors, lawyers, or engineers they want to do. If we make farming more lucrative, I believe more young people will be attracted to being a farmer as a more rewarding future occupation. So what do you think is what markets will emerge due to the increase in specific food items? Right now, items like the grains, like rice, like gari, like maize, these are the items that a lot of people are looking out for in the market. Also, more staple foods like with yam, like what we get from cassava also. We have yam, we have the swallow, like, permit me to say fufu, permit to say pounded yam also. People like all those things. So what's demand for specific and affordable food item alternatives will arise out of this situation? We know that everybody is looking out for themselves this period, but what emerging markets do you think will increase demand for specific and affordable food items, food alternatives in Nigeria, actually? Yes, Mr. Aruna.
Well, if you check, one of the staple food that we find, especially in the city, is bread. After bread is rice. When you talk about swallow, how many people actually do swallow? In my house, if I buy a bag of rice, it might not last 3 months. I'm not a rice person, maybe because of the way I was brought up. As far as there is good soup, I can do any swallow. But like my kids, they are into rice. So you see, that is bread. And unfortunately, we don't do wheat in this country. Wheat is not doing well here. But I believe that with rice, and when you look at the process, I think, to me, it's easier to produce rice, and rice come handy than yam, because all you needed to do for rice is to clear the place and put the seeds on the ground, and by the time they grow, and when you do the harvest, it's less cumbersome than when you are doing yam. But let me still tell you, there is no produce that, as we speak, that will not have a market. There's no produce. The only thing I would want, if the high network individuals and the companies are going into it, is to also find a way of preservation. A way of preservation. If you watch most of these markets we see abroad, is that those vegetables we see are being preserved. I served in Jos. I discovered that when you buy tomato and keep it outside for 1 week, the tomato will be fresh because of the weather. So they will look for a way of that kind of a preservation. So if they do, there will be even supply all along the seasons, that there will not be one season that will be glut, then another season there will be scarcity and prices will not begin to skyrocket. But if they put, one, the source of the produce that is coming and is doing well, the secondly, how to preserve it, and thirdly, good infrastructure, especially the roads, because you can't ask an entrepreneur to have 50 acres or 30 acres of farmland inside Lagos. Where is the forest? They have to go to data land. They have to go to other states. But there should be that capacity that the moment is being harvested, there should be a channel that will get to the market. And once there is that timely channel, one, it will also lead to the preservation, because if you harvest tomato today and you did not ship them today and begin to keep them for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, they are getting to the stage of getting spoiled. So the moment you harvest tomatoes today from your farm and ship them on time to the market, then there will be that preservation can come in. If all those things can be in place, first of all, get into I will call it mechanized, but a wide range of farmland, employ those who can do it, and by that employment, it keeps these guys out of the streets. And it's those guys that are out of the street that will think about breaking and entry. So first of all, keep them out of the street, keep them out of the street, and having good transportation system. Then in a little while, we'll discover that this one we are talking will be a thing of the past.
Okay, I hear you loud and clear, Mr. Aruna, but you also mentioned that rice is something that is very easy to grow here in Nigeria, but we all know that rice grows in very swampy land. That's how it can actually thrive in. And we also know some other food items that also grow, that require certain climatic conditions for them to grow effectively, and for the produce, for the harvest to be of very good quality for people to be able to eat it. So I'm just putting that out there when you mentioned rice as a very staple food. Yes, most Nigerian homes, they eat rice all the time. And then you also mentioned that wheat is not something you eat, but it's something that a lot of Nigerians need. We have people who are afflicted with diabetes, and they also go for the option of wheat. They prefer to eat wheat, and wheat is also used in the making of things like noodles and spaghetti, and also things like bread, which I would say that I don't know what's your thoughts on the production of wheat, actually, because these are things that are eaten in staple homes, in most homes rather, wheat, noodles, spaghetti, and these are food items that the prices have increased over the last few weeks. Things like spaghetti, things like wheat, things like bread, and because we know that wheat is a major ingredient in the in the previous mentioned food items, and most homes need these food items. So yes, we know that wheat is not something that we produce that often in Nigeria because of certain climatic conditions, but we need to actually look into that. What are your thoughts on this, Mr. Aruna?
You see, like I said before, before the Ukraine-Russia war, I don't think wheat was a problem. I think what actually created that problem and the lacuna was the Ukraine-Russia war, which has actually led to the skyrocketing of wheat as it is. But even if you said some people are diabetic and they need to take alternative food, I don't think it's limited to wheat. It's not limited to wheat at all. I believe that most of the people that have diabetes now, they are asked to maybe eat unripe plantain flour that they can actually turn like a lobo or something like that. It's that they boil it just like yam and eat. I don't think we have to wait until we begin to produce wheat in the country, since because of the climatic condition in the country, wheat we cannot do well here. And you talked about spaghetti and bread. Well, I wouldn't know how feasible that it was, but I remember that at a particular point in time during the government of Jonathan, we actually tried to substitute cassava flour for wheat. If we can go back there, can supply, cassava flour might actually not be good for spaghetti. But as far as I'm concerned, in this life, there's nothing that have alternative, including life itself. So if Indomie and if noodle or as spaghetti is not there, there are other things that we were eating before the noodles, because we didn't grow up. We grew up and it was in our present that noodles came. Before the noodles came, we were taking other things for breakfast. So for those that we cannot have control over, like the wheat, we can make a substitute. We can go for alternative. Like I said, there's nothing that in this life that don't have alternative, including life. The alternative to life, you commit suicide. So if you do not see wheat or you do not see spaghetti, you do not see noodle, there's another food that can be substituted for that. And we talk about rice, in my place, we do not need the riverine area to plant rice. Rice were planted anywhere. I grew up and my father was a farmer, and we used to have like 2, 3, 4 acres of rice every year. And it was upland rice, and they normally do well. The only thing that rice forbids is rodents, these bush animals, and which I believe that by the time the HNIs and the cooperative goes into it, they'll be able to curb their operations. And if they do, I don't think there's any big deal about that. And in a little while, the market will be flooded with good produce. And when there is supply, then price will definitely look down.
Thank you so much, Mr. Aruna. It was great having you on Market Insights this morning. It was great discussing with you the food inflation situation in Nigeria, the opportunities and the challenges. And also thank you for giving us your profound expertise and your opinions on how we can resolve this issue and what Nigerians can take advantage of during this situation, and how we as individuals can also invest more in agriculture, and how we can also start becoming farmers in our own little way. Thank you so much for joining us this morning on Markets Insights. We look forward to having you as a guest on the show next time. Thank you, Mr. Aruna.
Thank you for having me.